What can you put into the bag to make the sous-vide meat more flavorful? That's the question that I've been asked in my classes for years, and I finally have the answer. There is something in this bag that will forever change how you cook sous-vide, and it will turn your meat from this to this. First, let's understand the problem with sous-vide. Yes, it produces the most tender and juicy meat, but there is a cost. The meat doesn't smell or taste like a chicken that came off the rotisserie or a steak that came off the grill. Yes, I am fully aware of all the ways to incinerate sous-vide food. Put meat straight over the chimney starter, blowtorch it, etc. Sure, we can certainly make it burn quickly, but that doesn't develop that beautiful, well-rounded flavor and aroma that you get with slower browning. The kinds of things people usually add to bags to make the sous-vide stuff taste less, sterile, is whole garlic cloves, sprigs of thyme, rosemary, shallots. I've tried adding all sorts of aromatics to my bags and it didn't do anything for me. I've tried adding these aromatics to the fat in which I was searing the meat after the water bath, and it still didn't make much difference. Even if we could somehow inject our meat with aromatics, that's not exactly what we are missing with sous-vide now, is it? What we're missing is more mired reaction. Those toasty, roasty notes that you get from roasting a chicken or browning meat over a long period of time. In my previous sous-vide videos, I've gotten slightly better browning by letting the meat cool off some after the water bath. If you dry the meat off right after the water bath, it keeps oozing during sear, and all this oozing slows down the browning because water can't get above 212 Fahrenheit and browning doesn't happen till at least 330 Fahrenheit. But if you let your meat sit for 10 minutes, it stops oozing, so you have a chance to dry it off really well, resulting in better browning. That's still a good idea, but the idea I want to show you today makes an even bigger difference. What if we coated the meat in my grilling glaze before bagging it up and cooking it in the water bath? I use this glaze to speed up browning on the grill, so why not here? This glaze starts with soy sauce, which gives us sugar, which speeds up browning. But it's balanced by salt and umami, which ensures that our chicken stays in the savory realm. We're not making a dessert here, right? Pomegranate molasses gives us more sugar, which further speeds up browning, and acidity, which balances all that sugar. Dijon mustard gives us acidity and bitterness. It also acts as an emulsifier, holding together all these wet ingredients and the oil that we'll add in a minute. Yes, we will add garlic, but if we wanted to do something for us in the 30 seconds this chicken will spend in the skillet, it needs to be completely pureed. So I'm using a microplane zester to turn it into a paste. I'll also add some zaatar mix, but that's completely optional. It's just a bunch of dry herbs and sesame seeds. Let's whisk it all together. We need to make sure mustard and garlic are completely dissolved. And then we slowly drizzle in the oil while whisking constantly, just like making a salad dressing. We want 75% of this mixture to be oil. This is helpful for all proteins, but particularly for lean ones. If you're not using the glaze immediately, it will last in the fridge for 2 weeks. It will start to separate immediately after you make it, so make sure to re-whisk before using. You can also make this glaze in a squeeze bottle. Just make sure you snip the top to give you a bigger opening so that the sesame seeds don't get stuck. To show you what this glaze can do, I cooked 3 chicken breasts. I sprinkled all of them with salt and pepper on both sides. The first breast got nothing else. The second breast got a garlic clove split in half and a few sprigs of rosemary and thyme. The third bag got 2 teaspoons of this grilling glaze. I cooked them all at 141 Fahrenheit for 1 hour, cooled them at room temperature for 10 minutes, got them all out of the bags and dried very thoroughly. To sear, I heated up a bit of oil in a stainless steel skillet on high heat. I added the first chicken breast and pressed down on it with a lid that was much smaller than the skillet so that the steam could escape. This helped the chicken breast stay in good contact with the pan. This is the breast that got nothing besides salt and pepper. I seared it for 1 minute, flipped, and seared it for another minute. No need to press on the second side. This is the breast that got garlic and herbs in the bag. Same thing, I did 1 minute per side. Yes, I started with a clean pan each time so that the subsequent breasts didn't benefit from the brown bits left in the pan. This is the breast that got the glaze. I was planning to cook it for the full minute like the other breasts, but at 30 seconds it looked completely brown. I didn't want to burn it, so I flipped it and gave it 30 seconds on the other side. The browning difference is obvious, but what about the taste? For the life of me, I couldn't tell the difference between the chicken breast with nothing in the bag and the one with herbs and garlic. They were juicy and had great internal texture, but the outside got a tad stringy during that minute of searing. There was also no way they could compete with roasted chicken in the flavor department. The chicken with the glaze had none of that outside stringiness because it didn't spend as long in the pan, and the flavor completely blew me away. It was really close to the aroma and taste of roasted chicken. None of the glaze ingredients stood out. I couldn't taste soy or garlic or mustard. It all just blended together into what I usually associate with really good browning. Chemistry geeks will probably correct me when I try to explain this. I actually hope they do so that I can learn to explain it better, but here's how I understand this flavor boost. First, let's review what we can actually taste. You can only taste sweet, salty, bitter, acidic, and umami. Everything else is smell. Smell is how you know it's an apple and not an orange. If we left it up to your taste buds, you'd never know the difference. Now that we know what we can taste, let's figure out how browning affects those tastes. There are two main types of browning we usually talk about in cooking: caramelization and Maillard reaction. Caramelization happens with sugars and starches, and Maillard reaction happens with proteins. Basically, if you brown potatoes and apples, it's caramelization, and if you brown fish and meat, that's Maillard reaction. Although the chemistry might be a little different, the results of these two reactions are similar. Both produce incredibly complex aromas. In terms of taste, both reactions produce acidity and, if taken past a certain point, bitterness. Just think of the difference between sugar and dark caramel. Caramel is more acidic and more bitter, and that's what makes it taste much more interesting. Not all the browning we are getting with the glazed chicken is the Maillard reaction. Some of it is caramelization of the sugars we added with soy sauce and pomegranate molasses. Also, not all the complexity of this chicken was created purely through browning and caramelization. I added bitterness and acidity to this chicken before I even started browning it. That's what pomegranate molasses and mustard were all about. Is it cheating? Certainly. But if you can make it taste this good, you can cheat all you want. By the way, have you heard about the peanut butter steak that's taking the world of Sous-Vide by storm? Basically, you slather the steak in peanut butter and cook it sous-vide. Then you scrape off the peanut butter and sear the steak. Series.com did a wonderful test of this experiment, and turned out that Tbsp peanut butter did produce tremendously better browning, while natural peanut butter did not. And now you should have the tools to explain this peanut butter phenomenon. Can you guess what Tbsp has that natural peanut butter doesn't? Sugar. Well, plus a whole bunch of stabilizers. So yes, sugar and fat in peanut butter are good for meat browning. But why waste peanut butter and half a roll of paper towels removing that peanut butter from your meat, when you can get not only sugar and fat, but also a whole bunch of ingredients into your bag that actually complement the meat? In case you are wondering, I have tested this glaze on beef, lamb, and pork, and it produced excellent browning for all of them. As always, the links for all the unusual ingredients are below. Pomegranate molasses is available in almost every store now, and for zaatar I go to Amazon. Here are more thought-provoking culinary videos for you to check out, and if you are ever in the Boston area, maybe I'll see you in one of my classes.